Today we're going to be solving for variable values. When you're saying a variable, you're really just referring to a number that has a value. A number that has a value. That's really it. That's all I'm referring to when I say the word variable. A number that has a value. I spell variable like this, right? That is what a variable is. Now, a variable, for example, would be the n. What you usually might have seen it as is x, y, or z. These are the most common ones that you generally see, but today we're going to be using n for this specific problem. But when I say the word variable, once again, I'm saying a number that has a value. So when I say x is equal to 7, as an example, all I'm saying is that x is my variable and 7 is my number or constant, depending on what topic you're talking about. Let's go ahead and erase all of this and let's get started. So what I'm going to do here is I need to figure out what the n is equal to. How do I figure that out? So I have 12 is equal to n minus 9. The only thing you have to remember when you're doing these problems is understanding that all you need to do is have this letter be alone. You need the variable to stand on its own. That way, for example, you can say n is equal to question mark. So if n is alone, it's easier for you to say what the opposite is, or rather what the equal is, or the opposite side is what I was thinking. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go ahead and try to solve it. I wanted to erase the little question mark because that does not make sense here for me. Put a little blank space. We're going to put the number that is here. What you can do to approach this problem is that the first thing you want to do is you want to separate all of it by drawing a line through the equal sign. When you draw a line through the equal sign, you acknowledge that you view both of these as different sides. This is my left side. This is my right side. Cool. So here, what I'm going to do is I need to get rid of things in order. Let's change a few colors so that way you can see what steps I'm doing it. Here, what I need to do is I need to get rid of this 9, and I need to make this 9 go to the opposite side. How do I get rid of a negative 9? It's very simple. To do what you want to do here is you want to get rid of the negative 9 by doing the opposite, which is adding a 9. Because what is negative 9 plus 9? That's going to be equal to 0, which I don't have to write. Just acknowledge that this is an empty space. But when you do this, you can cross these out. Here on the other end, on the left side, I have to do the exact same thing. I have to write that positive 9 on both sides. So I have 12 plus 9. 12 plus 9 would then be what? 21. That's it. So I'm going to say that I have 21 is equal to, and then the last thing that you have left, the n. Because there's nothing that I did to that variable or that letter, right? So by doing so, I now know that my answer is 21. Can we test it out? Hey, can you check it out? Here in Khan Academy, 21. Cool. Good to go. Let's do another one. I bet you thought these were easy. But then you have one where it's a fraction. And this scares a lot of my students when anytime they see a fraction, it bothers them, it haunts their dreams. But it's really simple. Because all that this little fraction symbol is saying is that you are then going to divide. That's it. So if I were to write it out, you can say x slash, because that's the division, by 3 is equal to 7. Another way to write this, my 7 looks really wonky. Maybe if I write it like this. There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I don't like it. Just gonna write it. So 7, right? Now, what I'm gonna do here is that I keep rewriting it in a way that makes sense to my students, because this is the same thing, right? It looks practically the same, but this symbol is just division. So I can easily just say x divided by 3. If this fraction already makes sense to you, that's amazing. If it didn't make sense to you and this part makes sense to you, Amazing. Do whatever works for you. Don't necessarily do what is being, well, not told, right? But what is most accessible for you to acknowledge is always going to be what I recommend you. And here, what I want you to do, we're going to go back to our little orange because I like that color. I think it's like red. I think it's red. Okay. Here, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before, where I'm going to draw a line through. I'm going to scoot a little bit lower, otherwise I'm going to run out of space here. So we draw a line through, and we need to make sure that what we do to one side, we do to the other. Now I want to erase it. Now, on the left side, my variable is the x. My number that I have here is a -3. I want to get rid of this -3. It bothers me, or this negative, this divided by 3. Now, when you're doing that, all you really have to do is then multiply by 3. So what I have to do to both sides to get this divided by 3 to the other side is I simply draw a line through. Oh, I got a little excited. And then I'm going to say that I'm going to multiply by 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So I'm going to multiply by 3 to both sides. Again, if you do the opposite or the inverse of a statement, you can cancel it out. So here, I can cancel these two out. On the other hand, for 7 times 3, here, I'm going to be left with 21. Again, funny enough. And then here, with the x, there's nothing under it. There's nothing that's contradicting it. And you simply say x is equal to, if it makes you feel better, x can be over here. X is equal to 21. Let's go ahead and test that. Cool. There you go. Thank you for watching, guys.